Good morning from South Florida. Oh, actually I have two more parts over there. I'm gonna go over everything that we found broken. This is just the crux of buying this type of car and the fact that it's got 200,000 miles. There's no getting around that. This car has been driven. This thing was probably driven daily to work for most of its life. Let's start with the first thing you guys saw. As you can see, there is quite a bit of generous see-through there. Believe it or not, there's no leaks in this thing. It was not leaking at all. This, hopefully I can zoom in. You can see that it's just the rolled salts and everything were not doing it any favors. And this is where that pusher, that AC pusher fan was, where all the gunk was. I'll probably show a clip now. When we pulled the fan off, this was the one that was seized in place. The fan would not move. There was there was grass, there was all kinds of stuff here, and you can see it did not do this thing any favors. And like I said, I was only trying to do the AC compressor, and it didn't take 30 seconds after we pulled the fan off to realize that this part, even though it was not leaking, this part was gonna have to be replaced. So, AC condenser. Now, you may be asking yourself, or myself, good mustache, Alfred, why did you have to replace the radiator? Well, for several reasons. The car had 200,000 miles, so replacing the radiator would not have been the worst idea. I don't know what's been put in that engine. I don't know if the engine ever had a sealer put into it, anything like that. So it was always on my thoughts, or on my mind, to replace the radiator. It kind of became required when I tried to jerry rig, and I'm sorry I don't have video of this one. I'm sure that many of you would have loved to laugh at that. It kind of became required when I tried to mount. You might remember that our cooling fan that sits in this area that I mentioned went bad, so I tried taking the stock fan blade and putting it onto an aftermarket fan, and my intention was to mount it here, but having it attached to the shroud. And in the process, I drilled, I don't have video, drilled directly through the shroud into the radiator and punctured the radiator. Radiator was doing just fine, and I screwed it up. And now this fan, I may or may not have accidentally thrown away the blade, so this fan is now useless. So while we're in the process of puncturing the radiator, you may notice that my ends are missing. Well, that was also an interesting thing. I think I may have actually thrown the other hose out. So I hope I zoom in on this. This is the worst of the two. There's a lower radiator hose and an upper radiator hose. And in true German fashion, they're not cheap. The bottom one is actually pretty cheap. I think the bottom one was $20 or something. The top one was $170. And I was tempted to try and make my own, but it's got this clip fitting that actually attaches to one of the necks on the engine. And then it's got the little, auxiliary hose that goes to the reservoir tank. So the main reason why we had to replace not only the hoses, but the radiator, despite the fact that we could have maybe sealed that hole, is because when we went to take the radiator out, the hoses were seized. And this is plastic. But you can see kind of around here, the ends just wouldn't come out. I said, I'm gonna end up damaging the hose if I do get it off. And then the worst part is I'm driving around with the time bomb because I don't know when the hose is gonna fail. So the radiator and both hoses. So, as I mentioned, that fan that I showed you guys just a minute ago, that was the one that went here. This is the auxiliary cooling fan. This fan was not powering on at all. And then this fan, this is the AC fan that sits in the front. So you basically have the assembly like this. Your AC fan was here. Well, now I can actually turn the fan, but it's never gonna power on. So you have that fan there. This one, now missing its fan blade here. Neither of these which were working. Then you had the hero of the day, which was the original mechanical fan, and that one sits right here, and it's missing 2 blades. Despite this, it was able to keep the car cool. This also got replaced. New clutch, new fan blade assembly. We had to replace our AC dryer, the AC compressor itself. And you can see, I showed in the video when we did the install, but the clutch assembly or whatever this piece is, it's just destroyed. So we set out originally just to replace the AC compressor. Honestly, considering that this is the majority of the cost, and I think this ends up being like 50 or 60 bucks, it was worth replacing just to have some peace of mind that at least the system was going to be as clean as possible. But as you can see, it quickly spiraled out of control. I had a feeling something was off with the fan because of vibration, but I had never really checked. Thank you. I had never really checked, but replacing this, hoping it would fix the AC problem, revealed 2 broken fans, a damaged condenser, and then of course my idiocy trying to replace the radiator, which also pointed out 2 very badly damaged or worn, whatever you want to call this, radiator hoses.
Now, I'm gonna be totally honest, until I actually started editing this video, I hadn't counted up the totals. So let's see what the damage is.
That is the remnants of our air conditioning job. Every part that we found that was broken, just trying to fix the air conditioning. Be sure and drop a like on the video. Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our future content, and click the notification bell so you're notified every time we post a video. For Crooked Mustache, I am Alfred. Dale. We'll see you next time.